Hey everyone, I'm Evangeline right here at eTrailer. Since every bike rack fits every vehicle differently, today we're focusing in on how the Kuat Piston Ion fits specifically on the 2020 Ford F-150. This is going to be a very heavy-duty bike rack in the Kuat Piston Bike Rack series. This will have the most weight capacity at 100 pounds, so you're definitely going to have a larger rack. Focusing on the truck, this will be able to take advantage of that high tongue weight capacity of your truck's hitch receiver, where if you need to carry around those heavier bikes, you can do so. This has safety functions like a safety knob that has to be turned in order to use features like bringing this down or tilting away. Now, unfortunately, with the bikes loaded, this does not tilt down far enough to open up the tailgate. So if you needed access into your truck bed, now would be the time before you get a bike on there. So let's bring this down real quick just so that you can see that the tailgate will make contact with the bike even in this position. Same thing as if it was tilted away. You will still get access to some things in your truck bed, but you won't be able to put any weight on your tailgate. So that's something that a lot of people with this truck ask about, because it is a common downside to carrying around the bike rack. So just something that you may want to know. When you want to load up your bike, which is what we're going to do today, we're going to take advantage of this dual wheel mount style. So the first thing I like to do is I press this lever and I bring our mount up to its top position. And then I press this other lever and I bring this other side arm down to all the way to the ground. That way I can set it up with this ramp that'll go right into that side arm. So you can see here that this rack can carry bikes different shapes and sizes. You have that tray there. That makes it easier just to roll your bikes up and into position. So I have this very hefty mountain bike here that I first, there we go, need to get lined up with the ramp. So you can see here that with the ramp fully extended, it goes right on over our speed bump. You can put this ramp on whichever side of the rack makes the most sense for you. I always like to put it here just because it lines up well with our front wheel chock. There we go. Getting that up and over and into place, right up till it settles in to our front wheel arm, just like that. So this is actually gonna hold our wheel in place there up front until I can get this ramp out of the way and get that rear wheel mount set. Now when you have longer wheelbases like what I have here, this will still work. We're also just gonna have to figure out where you put your chocks, how far you put down your mounts here, because this can adjust for different wheelbases and different wheel sizes. So even with the hefty electric bike that I personally would not be carrying on my own, I'm still able to get it onto this rack all by myself because it comes with that ramp. Now, if I was to have a bike that was heavier than 70 pounds, or it had fenders, or if I was going off-roading, or if I was, say, maybe to put this on an RV, I would utilize the rear wheel strap that also comes with this rack and would go right over there. That's really going to be the only touch points on this bike though. Definitely for the front and the rear wheel. That's what holds it all in place for a really secure fit. So let's talk about measurements here. With this all loaded up, with the bike on there, the length this will add to the back of the car is going to be about 30.5 inches. This does fold up to a more compact position if you wanted to just drive around town and you weren't planning on taking your bike out just yet. I did say that the tailgate wouldn't clear if you tilted this rack away, so let's go take a look at that function real quick. Bringing this down, bringing this window up. you can see that with lowering the tailgate, moving that pedal out of the way, there we go. That's gonna be where it makes contact on the way down. It'll be up against those arms, so still not be able to fully lower that tailgate without making contact. So that is gonna be a bummer, but that's part of having this bike rack. And the reason this sits so high up is because you have some pretty decent ground clearance. So let's go take a measurement for ground clearance. If I was to go over, let's say, speed bumps and potholes, the hitch itself sits about 17 inches off the ground. The bike, where that tray is, will have to be hoisted about 30 inches up off the ground. And the lowest point over here is about 26.5 inches. So with those heavier bikes, you wanna make sure they're not dragging. And this, with its high ground clearance, things like that, is gonna be good even for those potholes and for those speed bumps or even super steep driveways. In fact, if you are using your truck for some extreme situations, you do have 100-pound weight capacity per bike with it in this tray. But if you're gonna go off-roading, and that's like very extreme movement behind the truck, do note that this does go down to a 50-pound per bike weight capacity just to handle that extra movement. With this rack, you also get your standard features like being able to lock everything up. It does come with its own keys and locks. There's no tools required in order to install it into the hitch. Just make sure that you have a 2-inch hitch receiver. This fits right in there. If you have any questions about this bike rack, you can always ask us here at eTrailer. I actually did a big old review on how this works, how this is used, and just the different situations you might use this with. Oftentimes though, especially with this combination, I see people with hunting e-bikes, meaning they have their e-bike loaded up with all kinds of gear that gets really, really heavy, and they need a heavy-duty bike rack that can handle that setup. This piston ion is going to be made specifically for extreme situations like that. It comes with a ramp, it has a high weight capacity, and as you saw here today, makes it a lot easier to load that e-bike up and onto the rack. Hopefully this video helped you out with seeing how the Kuat Piston Ion fits on the 2020 Ford F-150.